Welcome to part 2, where we continue the discussion about the role of the priesthood for women and men in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
There just seems to be such this revolt right now against the church, and I just think it's interesting. It's sad, but it's also interesting of just like people are leaving the church and stuff, and it's just kind of like you said, that's just the way how doctrine is. If you have a problem with it, well, you can take it up with the man who put the scriptures together, because that wasn't our call, in the first place.
Well, I like how you said to take it up with the man that put the scriptures together in the first place. I think that's an important thing, is because when people have questions, I've noticed that the people that fall away, instead of praying and reading and really studying it out, really trying to find an answer from God about why things are a certain way, instead they research the internet. They look at what someone else has said about this subject, and then it becomes their new philosophy. It's sad that there is so much negativity about the church, and it's really easy if you have a moment of weakness, if you have a moment of doubt where you're like, man, why is this like this? And then you go search Google, and then there's this guy that has written a whole blog post about everything you've just thought of. Man, that's like wood on the fire. But instead, right, it just fuels that doubt. But if you humbly go to Heavenly Father and search the scriptures and ask, like, hey, why, please help me understand this, there's a very different attitude about those two. And I don't know, I really like how you brought that up, that you talked about take it up with the man upstairs. We all have that power,
right? And if you want to pray about it, great. Like that is what this whole process is designed to do. That is exactly what God is asking you to do. I don't think I've ever had, never have I ever witnessed a prophet being just like, this is the way how it is, and I need you to just take my word for it. Mm-hmm. That has never happened in the history of ever. Every single time that the prophet has declared something or said, like, this is how it's going to be, this is how the world is going to end up, he always caveats it with, go to God and ask God about this. Ask God with what I just told you, okay? Don't just take my word for it. Go to God. And I mean, like, that's like the whole missionary message of the church, right? We're not asking you to believe us as the missionaries. We're asking you to pray about what we're telling you. Ask God if this is true or not, or whatever. And so, like, yeah. So, like, if you have your worries about the church, you have your doubts about the church, pray about it for real. Like, if you do have this concern of, like, well, God, why do men hold the priesthood and why can't women hold the priesthood? Then pray about it. God works in mysterious ways, and sometimes the answers come to us quick, sometimes they come to us over time, but eventually the answers come, and we do get answers to our questions. And so, like, yeah, the whole way is set up for us to pray about what we're wondering about. And yeah, it is like, businesses will talk all the time like, oh, there's always someone higher up to who you pass the buck to. Well, ultimately, there is going to be one person where that buck is going to stop, where it's just like, this is the man or the woman who is the end all. They make all of the decisions. Well, in this scenario, that's God. Like if you need someone the buck stops with them, I want to know the ultimate truth, I want to know what's going on, then get on your knees and pray and ask God, because he'll be the one to tell you what's true and what's not true. And if you have a problem with something, go to God with the problems, go to God with the hurt, like, that is all. So it's just so important to know that lifeline exists. I think life is hard as it is, but I think people would be amazed at just how great the cheat code is when you have God on your side. And it's not because having God on your side makes life easier. It's because God has the ability to make the burdens that you have lighter, you know? So like when I say like get God on your side and get that relationship going and be good with God, I'm not saying that, oh, if I pray every day and I read the scriptures, then, you know, then God's going to take away my problems. No, your problems don't get taken away. But the burden is made a whole lot lighter. And so it's just so important. Like when life is already like so super difficult, and walk it shoulder and shoulder with the man who knows how to make all of those burdens lighter, which is with God. And like, I don't know, that's just so interesting because I've been thinking about that a lot. I never really talk about it too much with people about like, all these people are leaving the church and I don't understand why or whatever. But yeah, you know, just I'm glad that was brought up because I've been thinking about it like quite a bit. Do you know the testaments? The testaments that everyone you'd all watch it a million times every day. Like on P Day, you'd watch it a million times. Everybody had a crush on the girl,
Yeah.
and it well, yeah, all the elders would just go crazy about her. But I think about that one line from Jacob's dad when Jacob is just like, "Don't you see all the stuff that I have? Why are you not happy for me?" And Jacob's dad says, "I am happy because you're happy, but I'm also sad because I know your happiness can't last." You know? And I think about that, you know, a lot all the time. And the thing is, like, I'm not the one declaring that your happiness can't last or whatever. I just have an understanding of this is the gospel of Jesus Christ, and eternal happiness comes from the gospel of Jesus Christ. And if you're not following that, it's hard to have eternal happiness when you're not following the one that provides eternal happiness, you know? And so like in those regards, it is sad. It is sad because you're just kind of like, man, please stay. Like,
Yeah.
there's this, the gospel is so true. And the thing is, like, I am far from perfect. I mess up all the time. I have to repent repeatedly, just like everybody else. And like, I am nowhere near this servant of, well, I don't know. If I look through God's eyes and heaven's eyes, then I might be thinking a little differently. But at least in my carnal state, I think I am nowhere near this servant of the Lord of great power or whatever. Like, I don't feel that way. But I do know that there's a promise that I can get there if I just keep trying. And it's that promise that I put my faith in. And I put my faith in that promise. I put my faith in Jesus Christ. That hopefully one day that'll all work out. We had the sister missionaries over the other day, and they talked about enduring to the end. And they talked about what they asked us, like, what does enduring to the end mean to you guys and stuff. And I kind of chuckled a little bit because I've been thinking about enduring to the end. And it's funny because the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we say endure to the end, but we also say that there is no end. There is no beginning and there is no end. We have eternity. We go on for forever. So what are we enduring to? Endure to the end? Well, in my mind, that tells me, that makes me think of, well, okay, endure to the end. Endure your earthly life and endure all the way up until the time that you are in peace in the celestial kingdom with your Father in heaven. Because at that time, I'm not going to say that you're going to have to endure the celestial kingdom. More, I think you get to enjoy the celestial kingdom. And it's going to be busy. You're going to be working a lot, you know, but you're going to be happy with it. You're going to find joy and you're going to find peace. And I'm not going to say that finding joy and peace qualifies as enduring. So I don't know. In my mind, that's kind of how it comes across to me. And there is some peace in that, man. There is some serious peace in that, because I'll tell you what, when I am at work, and this happened to me recently, I just had one sensor to replace. All I had to do was replace one sensor in this vehicle. It was an exhaust sensor, and I just had to replace it one time. But that sensor is located behind an engine that no hand can get to, ever. And the only other option is to go underneath the car and take all of this stuff out. Okay, well, no one's going to pay me for taking all of that stuff out. I'm being paid to replace the sensor, not to take out all of this other stuff and then replace the sensor. So I'm like, I'm not going to do that because no one's paying me for that. So I'm going to find out some way. I don't know how, but I'm going to find some way how to take out the sensor. Spoiler alert, I figured it out 2 hours later. All right, but I eventually figured it out, and I got the sensor out. And let me tell you, those moments are the moments where I think like, dude, forget this. I hate this. And one day there's some peace in this whole concept of enduring to the end. Of one day I'm going to be up in heaven with my Father in heaven, his Son, my brother, Jesus Christ, with everyone else who I loved who decided that enduring to the end was worth it. And one day I don't have to worry about this stupid bolt anymore that's behind this turbo in this forsaken place. Engineers, get your act together, because that was the dumbest thing I've ever had to deal with. But so, I say that obviously tongue in cheek or whatever, because there's going to be a lot of work on the other side, and there's going to be a lot of stuff going on and everything. Like, it doesn't, like, the working doesn't stop, but the mindset's going to be different, and you're going to be at more peace, and you're going to be at more rest, and you're going to be more gratitude's going to be in your heart. You're going to be more thankful, and you're going to be doing work, but you're not going to have a hope that everything is going to work out. You're going to know that everything is going to work out and that it has worked out. And there's going to be immense peace in that idea. And let me tell you, I'm excited for that day. I'm excited for that day. And I'm not going to spend my time I'm not going to spend my time waiting for that day. I guess I am waiting, but I'm not going to be lazy about it. I'm going to be actively engaging in my life with the stuff that I'm doing. Like, I'm not just going to throw things aside and be like, oh, well, what's the point? One day, what's the point of all of this? We're all just going to end up in the celestial kingdom anyways, and
yeah.
I'm not going to, don't do that, be active, be anxiously engaged in a good cause. Don't be a slothful servant. Do your due diligence here on earth. But that's going to be pretty sweet on the other side, and being just like, there's a lot of work here to do, and I'm happy to do it, and I'm ready to go. But man, the vibe's going to be different doing a lot of work in the celestial kingdom rather than doing it here on earth,
Yeah.
It's kind of exciting and kind of crazy to think about, So you and I are both space nerds, right? Tell me how much you love space. If you had an opportunity to go to Mars right now, all expenses paid, and guaranteed you'll have oxygen, you'll have your food, your water, like, you ain't going anywhere except to Mars. Like, you're not going to die or anything. Would you do it?
Probably.
Would you be one that signs up to get onto that ship?
It depends on how long and everything. Probably.
Cool. No, that's cool. Because I think I'd want to go too. What are you saying?
I am big space.
Space yeah. And so am I. I love researching space. It's space. The final frontier.
Boldly go where
no one's gone before.
To seek out new life.
But it was so interesting. I was watching this video of space, and they were talking about the different horizons. Now, I'm not going to name them off because I don't remember all of them. But basically, you have your telescope, the Hubble telescope, or they have some new ones out there now.
James Webb.
Something
like that. Yeah.
And they have those telescopes, and those telescopes can go on forever. Now, in space, it's all about how long can you look in a certain direction, right? Because the longer you look, the longer you're gathering in light, and the more you can see from space, because space is just extending, right? Now, I don't know how true this is because it was YouTube, right? And I didn't have Neil deGrasse Tyson up there telling me. It was just some narrator, so I don't know how true this is. But anyways, they were talking about, like, this is how far we can go to this horizon, to this edge, and then past it, we see nothing.
Whoa.
Basically meaning that they're saying that we can only go so far until we feel like we have hit what is the edge of how far our universe has extended, and we can't see anything past that. Now, I thought that this was super interesting just because, like, okay, the creation of the world. Now, I don't know if we should even be talking about this, man, because we might get mixed up and be saying some weird things. But like the creation of the world, creating the world. You can't just create something from nothing. There has to be something there. Anyways, where I'm getting at is I just thought it was so interesting that they described, at least in this video, again, I don't know how accurate it is, but at least in this video, they described that they saw nothing. That statement was weird to me because I was just like, you saw nothing. How do you see nothing? Because if it's nothing, then it's nothing. There's nothing there. And they're just, and the thing is, like, on the video, what they describe as nothing is just this black void, a void of stars, void of any planets, just a blackness. And I was just like, okay, well, black is a color. That's something, isn't it? And I just thought that was kind of interesting because I was just like, wow, like, can we really describe what nothing is?
Thanks for listening. Stay tuned for part 3.
Even if you don't, I still remember it all. You were my shelter from the rain when it fall. I would call, but never came. I'm not perfect, but I swear I've changed. I still hear your voice, it ricochets off these walls. Give me the words and I'll explain why I faltered from grace. And for all I hold the blame. Just give me one more chance, I'll fight the war I'm scared to face.
First things first, I know this letter